Welcome to LOA Today. Walt, Alex King, and Bill G here. Today is Tuesday, April the 16th, 2019. It's 8 a.m. in New York. It's 5 a.m. in Los Angeles, 1 p.m. in London, and Sydney, Australia. I still haven't quite figured out what time it is this time of day, but whatever it is, wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And I'm happy that we're on this new schedule where I am just doing one daily dose a day. 2 daily doses was nice. Sometimes it turned into overdose, but it was a good kind of an overdose. But it did get to the point where it was a little bit long on the hours. So yeah, I know. But it was a little long on the hours, and I needed some time back. But 1 dose a day is still good, don't you think? I think it is anyway.
I think 1 dose a day is good enough.
Yeah, there used to be a vitamin called that, 1 a day. I don't know if it still exists or not, but anyway.
It does.
It does.
Does it? Oh, okay. So, and yeah. Bill is celebrating the fact that he's done with the tax season. So, congratulations, Bill.
Yay!
And in fact, millions of Americans across the country are breathing a sigh of relief. Thank God that's over. So, there is relief happening all over the place here in the United States.
Either that or they woke up this morning and realized, oh crap, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there are a few of those too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, no, it's all good, and everything is getting better every single day. That's the thing we have to keep reminding ourselves. I was noticing that this morning. I was doing my mirror exercises this morning, and during the mirror exercises, I was feeling really good about myself, which I like. I mean, among other things, that tells me that my mirror exercises are paying off, and that I am, developing the kind of self-confidence and self-esteem that I've been wanting to develop. But it also was kind of a negative reminder, like, everything really is working out well. There may be bumps along the road and so forth, but things really are working out well, and that's a good feeling. That's a really good feeling. So, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, and Bill, I got to tell you something.
Oh.
I got your book.
Yay! Well, it's not my book. But
no,
anyway.
well, I mean, you didn't write it, I know that, but and
I was like, that doesn't look like his name.
And I even got the one to go along with it. So I've got
Excellent.
I got the pair here now, I've been reading the first one. I haven't gotten to the second one yet, and I can see what you mean about the depth of it. The thing I haven't figured out, and maybe your pendulum will tell me what the real reason is, but I don't know why I bought it. I really don't know. I mean, I have some sort of quasi reasons that I gave, but as I was sitting there looking at the Amazon page that said, "Here are your 2 books to order. They're going to cost $35, including shipping. Press here," and I'm thinking to myself, "Why am I pressing this button? I don't know why I want these books," but I did.
Yeah.
So,
well, perhaps. Well, I've got a good friend who's in Massachusetts who's going to be teaching a basic SRT class.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's what. Maybe I'm preparing for that. Yeah. Okay, that's possible.
Yeah.
Hey.
There you go.
Actually, they're actually teachers all over the country. Several of them teach online, but that's one of the things that we promote in the Spiritual Response Association, which is the umbrella organization that is responsible for making sure that all the teachers are on book when they're teaching this stuff, and
right.
We also coordinate classes throughout the country, actually throughout the world. It's really popular right now in South America and in Asia too. You get a lot of new practitioners coming out of those areas.
Interesting.
We're working on pushing for the U.S. The number of classes in the U.S. have gone down in recent years, but the number of classes in Europe and in Asia and South America have really exploded. So it's going strong.
Apparently, well, maybe in the course of what we talk about here, and in the course of learning about what your organization, your association does, maybe somewhere online I'll figure out why I bought books. If you get any clues, if Spirit tells you, let me know. Just I'd really like to know.
I mean, there are several SRT practitioners who are self-taught who just use the books and learn how to use it on their own. I don't necessarily recommend that because the books are a little dated. There are some of the charts in the Freedom Path, in the back of the Freedom Path. There are charts, The charts are a few years old. They've updated since then.
That's all right.
It's, because when you publish a book, you're kind of taking a snapshot of that particular moment.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the way it works. That's true.
While a lot of books can stand the test of time, like the Neville Goddard books can stand this test of time. You still need a decoder ring. You still need a way of looking at it from the perspective of the time in which it was written, because books are a time capsule of a particular moment.
Yeah, no kidding.
Mm-hmm.
So to get the truly updated information, the best way to learn SRT is from a certified SRT instructor. And if you just go to the spiritualresponse.com, there's a list of teachers there, and you can, if you are interested in learning this stuff, that's the place to go. And you just contact the teachers directly, let you know when they're doing their next classes and whatever. A lot of them like to teach live. The classes are usually very small, only 5 to 6 people in each class, so there's a lot of time for sharing, a lot of time for practicing, and the teachers really pride themselves to do a very high-quality job when they do their instruction. And you can just take the basic class. So there's a basic class, there's an advanced class, and if you really like it, then you can become a certified consultant, which is what I am. And if you really love it, then there's a path to go on to be a teacher. And there's also other areas other kinds of classes that we teach through the association as well.
It's all good, very good. I have to admit, I'm still confused why I bought them, because I really don't want to be a practitioner. I mean, I applaud what you're doing and what the others do. It's just not something I really want to do. I don't want to do any coaching with it. I don't want to do anything like that. I honestly, seriously, I'm drawing a blank. I really don't know why I bought them. I really have no idea. It doesn't make any sense.
More knowledgeable.
Because I don't normally do that.
If you read the first few chapters of my book with Conscious Conduit, it is a user's guide for beginning practitioners, and it doesn't really talk about becoming a practitioner in the sense of opening up your own practice. That's in part 2 and part 3. But you read the first part of the book, it's all about how to use it in everyday life, how to use the pendulum and your connection with spirit and the charts to make better food choices, how to make better career choices, make better relationship choices. And these are all a very personal journey. So the first part of the book is all about how to use this stuff as a personal journey, and it's useful for people who are self-taught or for people who have took just a basic class.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then part 2 and part 3 is about if you want to go the next step.
The other thing that I'm noticing too, and it makes sense as I think about it, because it's designed as, I guess, kind of like a diagnostic tool. I mean, you're using connection to spirit to help figure out what's going on. So when you look at the charts are mostly about all this bad crap. But I'm thinking, what about the good crap? Where does the good crap show up on the charts? And I don't quite see
chart
that.
19.
Chart 19? Oh, okay.
Specifically.
No, chart 19 is where all the good... Actually, and chart 6B.
Oh, okay.
Chart 6B and chart 19. That's where the good
That's all the
crap
good
is.
stuff. Good. I'm glad there is some. I was beginning to wonder.
Yeah,
Well, that's funny.
Chart 19 is specifically called How to Change Your Life.
Okay. It's a good title. I like that
And
title.
it's a lot of LOA stuff in that one.
Is it? Okay. All right. Very good. So are we going to continue with helping Alyx? Is that like what our plan is for today?
Absolutely. We got a treat today.
We have a treat.
So-
Alyx, are you ready for a treat? I don't know. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready for something. It's been a weekend for me.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess she's ready then.
Well, okay, just as an introduction, where we've been so far, this is like our 5th session.
Last time.
It is, isn't it?
Around
That's right.
and
Last time.
around session 5 is where we break out this particular protocol. So where we've been, we've gone through the basics. We have we've dived deeper into what the lessons are or what the patterns are in the trauma, and we've done a lot of clearing. In our last session, we did an inner child research, or inner child progression, it's also called, where we explore all of the negative patterns that are put on us from other people, especially in early childhood through adulthood, and also it goes into our life pattern, our life plan that we put together for ourselves before we incarnated. So now that we've got all that information and all that those ideas together, now we're going to do what we call a brain restructuring. The purpose of a brain restructuring is to now go into the physical synapses of the brain and change the patterns in them. And the reason why we do this is that when you have a repeated pattern in your life, it's kind of like muscle memory, that the synapses in your brain follow a certain pattern. And if you're kind of a person who is constantly having a negative pattern in your life, it actually becomes like muscle memory in your brain where those pathways are constantly being followed. So it makes it very difficult to change those patterns, especially when your brain has been kind of hardwired to that from repeated habits. What this process does is it figures out what those negative habits, what the basis of those negative habits are, and then we replace them with positive habits, and then we get high self to apply them, to actually change the way the synapses in the brain work, so that way it becomes easier for you to manifest a positive pattern in your life. Okay? Does that make sense?
Does it feel comfortable, Alex? Because, I mean, I know what Bill is driving at, but honestly, some of the terms he used, it almost sounds like brain control that he's talking about here, like mind control.
Well, it's not exactly that. But what it is, well, I mean, okay, let's put it this way. If being mind controlled allows you to let go of old patterns
It's
and
a trade-off.
New positive patterns, I think I wouldn't mind getting a little bit of mind control sometimes.
It's all semantics, Walt. It's all semantics.
This is where my hackles go up, because I think to myself, it's like a despot who says, yes, but I'm a benevolent despot. Like, yeah, okay, right.
Well, again, this stuff, since it works with high self, and you still have freedom here, you still have the power to choose to go back to your old patterns if you want.
That's good. As long as we got that freedom, then I'm good. That's fine.
Yeah, all the work that we do can be reversed if you want.
Not that you necessarily want it, but
anyone would want to is beyond my comprehension, but that's fine.
Well, that's because you've been brainwashed. No, I'm kidding.
Actually, that brings up a very interesting point, because a lot of people are very comfortable with their pain. And
yeah, that's
they're
true.
all very comfortable with their negative patterns.
Yeah.
Because this work is very scary for someone who has not been doing negative stuff for a very, very long time. Because what you're doing is introducing something completely different. And that can be very scary. And some people are like, no, I'll just take the pain, because at least that's the devil I know rather than the devil I don't know.
Yeah, that's very common.
It is, yeah, very, very common. So, let's give it a shot.
All right. Alex seems to be okay, so that's really the main thing. As long as Alex is okay with it, because if the subject is okay with it, then it's okay.
I'm cool with anything.
Yeah, so there you go.
Okay. The first thing we do in a brain restructuring is we first get a baseline. And this is basically if you've ever gone and had neural testing, and where they test out, where your right hand dominant, left hand dominant, what all that stuff. We do that actually with with a form here that I'm going to follow along, and instead of having you do the work, in an office where you're filling out the survey, we get myself to fill out the survey for you.
Nice. No paperwork. Cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
So the paperwork's actually done on my side. So the first thing we do is we figure out what your dominance patterns are. So you're generally right-handed, right-footed,
Generally.
left eye, left ear, left-brained, which is interesting. I thought you'd be more right-brained.
I don't know. What's the difference?
A left-brained person is more of a logical person, and a right-brained person is generally more creative.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely left.
Okay, and your logic centers and your creative centers seem to be right. So now I'm going to go to a number chart and to measure your modalities, assess your modalities. So this is intuitive. So now what we're going for here in the number chart is the lower the number, the better. 0 to 1 is best. Anything above that is not so good.
Oh, geez.
So now we're going to look at your intuition. Intuition is a 3. That's not bad. Your feelings. Feeling is a 10. That is not so good.
Oh, dear.
Visual. Visual is a 1. The ability to take action is a 0, so that's not a problem. Your analytical brain, the ability to analyze things, is at an 8.
What?
Your logic, your ability to use logic to make decisions.
Oh, okay, hold on.
Is an 8.
What?
Your ability to express yourself verbally is a 0. No surprises there.
That's a fact.
And your ability to listen. Ooh, you're not going to like this. It's a 10.
What strikes me about this whole system is that it's almost like playing golf. Lowest score wins. Like, what? Wait a minute.
Yes.
So that alone kind of messes with your head. And then you say you took 10 strokes to get into the hole on logic or whatever it was. And I say to myself,
right.
What? Are you sure you have the right spirits lined up there, Bill?
Yeah, we did that clearing in the beginning.
You might want to double check. Maybe we do a little calibration there just to be sure.
There. I don't like it.
Okay, so your eyes, so the ability for your eyes to take information to the brain, to the right is strong, to the left is strong, which is good. But your up and down is not so good. Homolateral crawl is.
What does that mean?
And the cross crawl are good. We don't need to figure that out.
Stop. Hold on. I got to go back here. What on earth are we talking about? A problem with her eyes going up and down. What on earth does that mean?
What it means is as a way of bringing information to the brain.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So what you want is for that ability to be strong by looking to the right, to the left, and up and down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We're strong to the right and to the left, but up and down is not so strong. Again, what we're doing is we're assessing the physical brain.
Okay.
Okay? We're assessing your physical brain in relation to what high self is telling us. And there's a reason why we're doing all this baseline stuff. Because after we've completed the brain restructuring, we're going to go back to this and figure out where you are.
Gotcha.
Okay? To see if we've corrected any of these issues.
Mm-hmm. As long as Alex is okay, I'm fine. Just for me, it's a good thing I'm not the subject here because I'd be flipping out. But
oh yeah. Okay. So your attitudes. I want to learn to read is weak, which is not good. I want to succeed is strong, which is good. I want to fail is weak, which is good. I want to be sick is strong, which is bad. I want to be well is weak is also not so good.
And I got another question for you. And this is a serious question. Why ask about being sick and about being well as separate questions? Why are they separate?
Well, I believe it has to do with asking the figuring out what you want as opposed to what you don't want. These are not worded in the negative. You know, I don't want to be well. It's not saying I don't want to be well, or you know, like I don't know. When you say I don't want something, what Spirit hears is the something it doesn't hear that don't want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why it's worded in this way. So
okay.
it words it in the positive. So I want to be sick because that is a expression to the universe of what do I want, and we want that to be weak.
Well, yeah, I understand that, sure. But my question is more along these lines. I would not be at all surprised if, and you have a number of different questions like this where it's seeming opposite. I mean, we know as deliberate creators that the opposites are actually thing and lack of thing. But we do think of wellness and sickness as being kind of opposite to each other. So if we think that one person is high on wellness, we kind of expect the sickness part to be low. But the fact that it's even asking the questions at all suggests that there could be times where sickness could be high and wellness could be high, or sickness could be low and wellness could be low.
Yes, that is true.
And that's what I'm asking about. Tell us about that. I don't understand what that means.
It is possible to have contradictory thoughts in your mind and in your spirit at a given time.
Oh, okay, so this is about the
cognitive dissonance.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Right.
Okay. Yep. I'm with you.
Okay.
Go for it.
So we got your focus and your ABCs both being weak, which is not so great. Your ability to breathe and your comprehensive numbers is strong, which is good.
What?
So,
that's crazy, because I'm horrible at math.
We're not talking math. We're talking the ability to understand numbers.
Okay. All right.
So, peripheral visions. How's your peripheral? It's okay. So I'll explain this in a moment. Now, with peripheral vision, ideally, we want your peripheral vision to be strong to both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that you get a full breadth of the world around you. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
When I just did peripheral vision, it's more like this for you. So so you have a tendency to ignore what's in the periphery and just focus on what's ahead.
Yep.
Okay.
I got a question there too.
All right.
My question there is, now this is Alex who we're working on right here. But if it were me who's in the chair, my left eye, I have macular degeneration. So I can't see straight forward. I can see peripherally, but I can't see straight forward. And I presume, I'm going to assume for the sake of discussion, that this process would detect the fact that I can't see straight forward. What does that tell us, though?
Actually, we're not talking about your physical sight here. We're talking about peripheral in terms of being aware of awareness.
But if I have no straight ahead sight in my left eye, how can I be aware of something that's straight ahead?
But you are aware of it in your life, right? You're aware of where you're going.
So the straight ahead,
you're not bumping into doors or anything like that.
So the straight ahead and the side to side aren't so much physical as they are metaphorical.
They are metaphorical, yes.
That's where I was trying to get to. Okay.
Okay.
So this is basically a metaphorical exam.
Yes, it is a metaphorical exam in the sense of how does your brain process all of this energetic information that is being sent to you, which is why we're asking high self to do it, and we're not putting you in front of a machine.
And that matches up with what I was reading in the book just this morning, actually, because it was talking about, I don't remember exactly how it said it, but kind of the gist of it was that it's not about changing reality, it's about changing the way we think about reality.
Right, exactly. Okay, so, right. I'm going to take some charts out of my book real quick, so that way we can speed this up a little. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to figure out what the negative concrete base is. Now, negative concrete base are the things that we decided to put into our brain structure at a very early age. And we're going to first detect when it happened and then what it was, and then come up with a statement from it. This technique I actually use when I'm doing all my clearings as well. Is I take information from multiple charts and allow it to tell me a story.
Mm-hmm.
So first, we're going to go to the first one. So in the womb, you made a decision. So we're going to. So it's going to be 6, 10, 8, 10. Where are we at? 6. All right, we got health abuse. We're just going to do, for the sake of time, we're just going to do 2. We usually do 3 to 4, but we're already at 8:31. We want to get all this in and still discuss it.
That's my fault. I kept asking all the questions. Sorry about that.
Huh?
I kept asking all the questions. I just took up all the time doing all those questions, so that's me.
No, it's cool. It's just that when I sit down and do a brain restructuring, when I do a full brain restructuring, it generally takes just over an hour to do. And we don't have over an hour, so that's why we're going to... Right.
Well, we can do part 2 next week.
Well, yeah. Generally, this is best done as as all at once. Because right now we're setting it up, and so we got to clear it out.
I envision all the hundreds of listeners that we have waiting for Bill to take his measurement and see what the measurement is going to be.
Yeah. So in the
waiting
womb,
on bated breath.
Yeah, right.
So in the womb, we have the inner child decided. What came up was health abuse, inner child, and vengefulness.
Oof.
So was the vengefulness against a particular person? It was it a parent? Was it somebody else? Sorry about this. I hate when it does that. It was... Okay, so there was some angel stuff involved. All right, I'm going to have to look at that a little further. Okay, let's go to the next one. So at 2 weeks, we have dreamer, World Energy. Is that actually World Energy Racer? World Energies. And so let's see. At 2 weeks old, you said that world energies are going to, or that I'm going to be something else.
It's interesting to watch him piecing this together.
I'm sorry. It's giving me stuff that requires a little more thought.
Well, I can understand. I mean, you're getting all these messages through your pendulum, but essentially from a spiritual side, which is giving you a lot of yes or no answers and some small degrees of clues here or there, and you're supposed to piece that together into a coherent whole that we can understand in English. That's not always easy. I mean, in my little experience with practicing with the pendulum, just learning how the darn thing works, I'm finding that there's so many little tests that you're doing just to try to get a feel for how the whole thing is, and then once you get it going, then you got more tests. You're constantly testing everything, and it just
So at birth, my critical parent is going to makes me. My lethargic critical parent makes me feel guilty.
Okay. That's a complex.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what we do with this, now we've got to figure out your present life negative base. So we have to come up with 2 or 3 of those.
I'm trying to imagine a lethargic critical parent. I mean,
that makes sense.
Does it really? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to imagine what kind of being that is. I mean, what's it like to be lethargic and critical at the same time? It's like, is that like being an armchair quarterback?
It's the you don't take care of me.
Yep.
Okay, I got it. All right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, and that comes up again. So the negative concrete base is failure, self-limitation, and guilt. So there's a fear of failure. There's a desire for self-limitation and the guilt associated with that. So these are these statements and these things that you've established in your life. These are the patterns that you have put into your mind synapses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we can make an argument here that you've kind of hardwired yourself to be a failure. You've hardwired yourself to feel guilty. You've hardwired yourself to always limit yourself, to not have the greatest personal expression.
Well, we can say that about a lot of people. I mean, probably millions of people do that exact thing.
That's why this is why this work is so important, because there's a lot of people who need this work. So what we do then is we change these statements into positive ones. So, all right. So I am happy and grateful for my life. That's how we change the first one around. The dreamer, world energies, and moody. I am free to be me. So we're not going to allow what we're basically saying. We're not allowing world energies to influence us. and let me see. I am full of action and free. So, again, so now these are positive affirmations that you would. These are things that I would instruct a client then to repeat themselves as a mantra to allow this the what we call a brain mind meld to establish itself. So this is how we change all that negative stuff around. I am happy and grateful for my life. I am free to be me, and I am full of action and freedom. Oh, freedom. That came up. So, again, instead of having this inward retreat, this self-limitation, this feeling guilty for being who I am, we're now going to change all that into something a lot better. And then we ask high self to clear. And now we do that.
Well, 2 out of the 3 of those I've already discovered in recent years.
Okay, good. So what this does is, it's good that you've already discovered them.
Mm-hmm.
And now what we're going to do is we're going to instruct high self to now change those.
Okay.
And so we're taking the work to another level.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas before, what we were talking about is the knowledge of the pattern or the program is, for some people, it's enough to be able to change the pattern. But for other people, we actually need to go in there and say, okay, I keep reestablishing these old programs. These old programs keep reestablishing themselves. So there's something wrong. I'm not hardwired here. My hardwiring's bad.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're going in to change some of the hardwiring.
Mm-hmm.
To make it easier for you to embrace those more positive affirmations.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So it says I'm finished. Do we have brain mind meld? We do have a brain mind meld. So then now what we're going to do is going to go back to our the original sheet here, and now we're going to go back to evaluate to see if anything that we determined was not right has been fixed.
Okay.
Okay. So going back, the intuitive was at a 3. Where is it now? It's now at a 0. So your intuitive has now gotten stronger.
Oh, everybody's in trouble now.
The ability to act on feelings is now on a 0. The other one was analytical. How's your analytical? All right, it's now at a 1. So it went from an 8 to a 1. The logic went from an 8 to a 0. And the auditory went to a 0. So it went from a 10 to a 0. So that's really, really good.
Mm.
Okay. So now the next ones that weren't so good was the eyes. For the up and down, we had those as weak. Now now the up is strong. And how's the down? Down is also strong. So we fixed those. So now we're going. What were the other ones? I want to learn to read was weak. Now it is strong. What else was bad? I want to be sick was strong. Now it's weak, which is good. We've now changed the attitude. I want to be well went from weak. It's still weak. Okay, we're going to work on that one.
We're almost open today.
Let's see. Your focus went from weak to now strong. And your ABCs went from weak to now strong. And now Let's take a look at your peripheral. Peripheral is now still not perfect. So it went from this to this. Ideally, what we want is this.
Yeah.
But it's instead of straightforward like wearing a set of blinders, it's now we've opened up the blinders a bit.
Okay.
What we want to do is we want to take the blinders off.
It's improvement.
I've always had better hindsight than I had peripheral, so.
Okay. All right, and so again, we're going to solidify, and then your homework would be to repeat the mantras, to, again, have gratitude. You say, I am happy and grateful for my life, or I am happy and have gratitude for my life. And then, I am free to be me, and I am full of action and freedom. And freedom is, and actually, the freedom is an interesting concept when it comes to this sort of stuff. And Robert's first book is The Freedom Path. And freedom is a word that gets, battered around a lot about what is freedom, what is not freedom. And, in political terms, sometimes we say, freedom is, the ability to choose your life, economic freedom and whatever. But freedom is a much broader concept.
Mm-hmm.
Because freedom in the sense of one's having control over one's life is that you are free to be making the best choices for yourself without the influence of your own, getting in your own way and allowing other people to get in your way.
Mm.
So true freedom, and freedom is not just a state of being, it is a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It is something that you feel in your heart. When you are feeling truly free, there's an opening that takes place in your heart.
Mm-hmm.
And it is in the heart. It is centered in the heart center. So to be free is an incredible opening up of those of that of whatever it's an opening up of the possibilities of life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessarily pointing in any one particular direction, because sometimes people ask me, okay, now that I've got this freedom and whatever, what next? And the what next is freedom. It's freedom to do whatever the heck you want.
You're free to do whatever you want, yeah.
Do whatever you want. And they're like, okay, well, can you tell me, and then they ask me a specific question, can you tell me what does this mean for this relationship or this job or whatever? And I'm like, well, you just threw some limitations on it, and that's not freedom.
Mm.
Freedom is everything that is, it's all together. It's a feeling. It's an emotion. It's not a thing. It's freedom isn't something that you can grab onto. It's
Mm-hmm.
an emotion. And that's again what this brain restructuring is all about. It's about to give you more freedom to change the patterns that have been going on in your life up to this point.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And I have to say that I had someone contact me recently who listened to our last show and was interested in seeing me as a client, and that was great. And one of the questions she had was, how long does this take?
Of course, everybody wants to know that.
Everyone wants to know, okay, you're charging $60 an hour, how much is this going to cost?
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
And I was mentioning to her that, since we've been doing these sessions online, how incredibly proud I am of Alyx, of you, Alyx, of the progress you have made. I don't live with you, I don't see you every day, but just what you've been doing on the show has shown such increase in your ability to become vulnerable. And that's part of the freedom, too. The 1 week you were talking about what it was like to live with mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
That was an incredible, risky thing to do on a personal level, to talk about that stuff, especially in a public forum. It is so wonderful to be able to do that. And then the following week, talking about your families and how they work with that. I mean, I am. That is something that would have been more difficult for you to do, I believe, without the clearing. Because there's these barriers that we have. I mean, we think ourselves as being these wonderful, open people who are able to express themselves, and everybody loves us, and we're an open book. But when push comes to shove, we all have our own personal boundaries. We all have these spaces we don't want to go, some things we don't want to talk about because they're too painful, or because we didn't even realize that we had barriers to them until they were brought up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the ability to say, screw it, I'm going to explore this, and I'm going to explore my pain, and I'm going to release my pain by talking about it or by writing about it or whatever, is an enormous step towards getting to that feeling of freedom. And again, I'm very proud of you that you were able to do that, and you're getting, and it's, so I am seeing progress.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Progress is always very good, especially when it's big.
Right.
Yes. I will say I have been coming up with a lot of great ideas since the first clearing.
Mm-hmm.
So things have been coming to me, whether I got sleep or not. So,
right.
So I do appreciate that.
And the thing is that the insomnia is a symptom. It's not we're going to address insomnia. Well, you can't really address insomnia because it's just a symptom. You're like, okay, we're going to give you Ambien to deal with the symptom. Well, if we're going to give you Ambien to address the symptom, we're not addressing the root cause.
Right.
And the root cause is the anxiety. Well, what's the root cause of the anxiety? Then we got to go a little deeper. What's the root cause of the anxiety? The root cause was, there was a lot of this negative concrete base that was established. You had issues growing up. You had a family situation that was not ideal. And then on top of that, you have all these soul programs that you put into place before you were even born to put you into that situation, so that way you can study the contrast, that way you can be living the contrast. But now you're on the other side of that, and you are now have the emotional maturity to look back and say, okay, now I understand. Now I have a basis to understand why I did, what I learned along the way. Now we can say, okay, enough's enough. I'm going to live my best life now. And I'm going to take all of those experiences, and they're going to make me stronger. I mean, I love Joel Elston's stories about what he went through and how he wouldn't trade any of those horrible things that happened in his life for anything, because it made him the person that he is right now. And
agreed.
Right. And so all of the horrible stuff that you have gone through in your life, every horrible moment, every anxiety attack, every failed relationship has been educating your soul to get to this point where you're like, okay, got it, learned it, enough's enough, let's change it. Now, some people never get to that point, on their own, without help. Some people are perfectly content, and some souls are perfectly content to be that contrast for their entire lives, and never get to the other side. But the nice thing, though, is we're now at a place in our development as humanity to say, okay, we are ready to start this ascension process to become more connected to spirit. And the way to do that is we need to clear out our old crap and come up with and live our best and highest destinies.
Agreed.
All right. That's my speech.
I've got a question for you. This goes back about 15 minutes ago. You were talking about world. Well, no, he was in the middle of a good thing there, so I didn't want to interrupt it. But but you were talking about world energies, and world energies in some way affecting her. I don't remember exactly what you said, but the kind of gist of it was blocking those world energies from continuing to adversely affect you. That was kind of where it seemed to go. And I guess when I think about that, well, first I try to define my terms. That's kind of my normal thought process. So when I'm talking about world energies, what exactly do I mean by that? So let's start with that before I even try to ask a second question. But what is that? What are world energies?
World energies are the currents of what is going on in the world. And now I'm not talking specifically about the news per se, or news or media per se, because news and news media and even what we use as entertainment is heavily filtered stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So you can't really call that world energy, but you can. But what is world energy is how is the zeitgeist? You know what they call the but in German we call it zeitgeist, the spirit of the times.
Mm-hmm.
We are going through a period of cleansing and emergence as a species. And so those are world energies. And it's a very painful process to clear out this old stuff.
So when we're talking about world energies, we're not talking about any individuals who are outside of ourselves or any group of individuals outside of ourselves. We're talking about this sort of collective vibration that's going on a global basis.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And when we're talking about
influenced by that, because our own freedom, our own sense of freedom, is limited by that.
Mm-hmm.
If we allow ourselves to be caught up in that current, we are not free. We are now just part of the crowd. We're part of the mob.
Mm-hmm.
That raises the question that I think I'm ultimately going toward, which is what is the I want to say this without applying a morality concept to it. What is what is the preferred value of having world energies?
The preferred value of having them?
Yeah, in other words, why would we want to have them at all?
We want to have them at all because human beings, by and large, want to feel like they belong to something.
So what we're talking about is belonging to something without being controlled by it.
Exactly, yes.
Now I understand what we're talking about. Okay.
Yes.
There it is.
We want to be part of the larger group, the very, very large group, but we don't want the group to be controlling our lives. We want to be independent.
Right.
And that is ultimately not just the human experience, that is the soul experience. That's the spirit experience. We are part of the collective, but we are also individual at the exact same time.
Right.
Yes.
And the more people who can find that freedom path, the more that the world energies are influenced by that.
Because the overall global vibration, so to speak, improves the more and more people. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right.
All right. And it's an interesting concept, this concept of world energies, because when I think about vibration, I think about a single object or a single person or a thought or whatever, a single thing. But what we're talking about here is a collective vibration. And a collective vibration actually consists of a whole bunch of other vibrations all doing their own vibrating thing. And somehow we're considering that to be one collective. It's almost like, in economic terms, it's almost like looking at the world in terms of macroeconomics, in terms of, okay, we have this global product or this national product, and this represents our economy, which is in many ways very misleading. But it has some value for an economist who's trying to get a handle on what's going on with the economy. But from the perspective of trying to deal with, what do you do when you're making your purchases, or what's going on with your job, or you're trying to get a house, it really doesn't apply to all that. And so it can be confusing. And I kind of equate the world energies thing to that. I mean, there's this big picture that helps spiritualists understand what's going on, but it really doesn't help you understand anything in your own personal life. It's just kind of there.
And when I used to be a news junkie, I made the argument, well, I want to understand the world energies better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is, since it's so filtered and so biased, you're only getting one point of view.
Right.
And it is a very filtered point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And it was only until I started working with doing this work, and meeting people on a one-on-one basis, and helping them, and listening more to channelers and to people who are more of a higher vibration, did I realize that all of that is just noise, and it's a means of mind control in a way. They want you to think a certain way and feel a certain way, and it's used, and 99% of it's negative based. It's to feed all of this fear. It's to feed all of this whatever in order to get you to buy a product or get you to buy into whatever they're selling.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not freedom.
Mm-hmm.
That is the opposite of freedom.
Susie also put in a comment about what we're talking about here, and I want to get that in while we have a little time left. She says, I think that world energy's collective consciousness I think of that more as a mirror, as within so without, the Hermetic concept. Macro and microcosm. It's another form of awareness to build the self, she says. What do you think?
No, I agree. It's, that goes pretty much along with what we were talking about before.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, good. We only have a couple minutes. I want to make sure I get the announcements in because I have been remiss in that department. So let me get them in now. If you're not yet a subscriber to the podcast, please become one. You can see we do some pretty crazy, wild things here, and they're pretty interesting. So become a subscriber. We have links most of the places that these podcasts are published. But if you don't see a link, just go to loatoday.net. And on the homepage right at the top, you'll see a great big button that is labeled for your particular operating system. Just click it. It will walk you through the steps. And that will subscribe you, and all the episodes will come streaming to your smartphone as we publish them. And then as you're listening, and even watching, if you're watching the video, share the fact that you're watching so that more people get their daily dose of happiness. Most people are not aware of us, and the more people who become aware, that's more people who contribute to the raising of that global world energy vibration we're talking about. So please do subscribe and share. And Bill, I know you got somebody who expressed interest and came to you, and perhaps is actually turning into a client. Others may want that as well. How do they reach out to you?
You can run. I think the easiest way to reach me is through Facebook. Vital Bioenergetics is the Facebook page. Also, you can find me at William G. I also have 2 books out there, and just booked yesterday. I'm going to be doing a speaking engagement at the Mind, Body, Spirit Expo in Saratoga Springs, August 10th and 11th. I'm also going to have a booth there doing clearings. So if you find yourself in the Saratoga Springs area in August, that would be great to have people stop by. And I do clearings through Skype, and online and whatever. It's just as effective as doing it one-on-one. And because I'm in Vermont, and not many people get to Vermont unless they're going trying to go skiing.
Well, Saratoga is a beautiful place to go in August because that's when the big horse races are. That's when the Whitney Stakes are and the Traverse Stakes. So yeah, it's a great place to be in August. So by all means, go to see him in August. And Alex, is there anything going on with your podcast, your spoiler alert that we should know about?
Lots of stuff. I don't want to spoil anything. But we're talking Game of Thrones, being this the last season, and we're talking lots of things are actually ending this season. So we'll be talking about that.
Very good. And where do they find Spoiler Alert?
You can go find me on anchor.fm/Alyx in Wonderland. That's Alex with a Y. Or you can find me on Spotify or Google Play.
All right, there we go. So thank you, guys. This has been educational as usual. I guess we continue with the brain restructuring next week, Bill. Is that right?
We can do a little more of that, absolutely.
All right, so that's something to look forward to.
Cool.
All right. So thank you, guys. Thank you to our live stream audience. Thank you to our podcast listeners as well. And we will see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.